Hey, I'm Harvey Moscot of Moscot, and I'm a CGO.
Always saying guitars are playing a part of who we are. Got a cool job, but there's so much more to the chairman and women of the pedal board. You're a CGO, Chief Guitar Officer.
The show where we talk with leaders in culture, all connected by their deep passion for guitar.
Welcome to Chief Guitar Officer. I'm Scott Haidt.
And I'm Judd Silver. Scott, you're a glasses person, right?
I am. I have about 7 pairs on my desk right here, right now. This has become a problem. You know, you think I have a lot of guitar pedals, but I've got a lot of readers.
So what do you think the connection is between eyewear and guitar playing?
I think you want to look really smart when you're playing a guitar, so you put your glasses on. Is that it?
Or you need to see better?
Yeah. No, there's a better reason why we're talking about it.
We're going to find out today. We have Dr. Harvey Moscot from Moscot. This is an incredible story. It's a New York story. It's an American story. It's a business story, but a really creative company. You know the company. You know the brand, right?
This is the brand. These are my Moscots.
Which model is that?
This is the Lemtosh.
Classic.
First of all, I love the brand. I love their colors. Black and gold, really bold. We'll get into that. And then also they're truly global now. I think they've opened stores in London and Paris. Like they're all over the place. So it's going to be a good one.
They do a lot of really philanthropic good things for the community. But he has a great story, of course, a guitar player. And I know he's got some really cool guitars to show us, or a guitar to show us, and we'll find out what that's all about. Dr. Harvey Moscot, Chief Guitar Officer. Let's go. An incredible doctor and professional. Person, human being, merchant, marketer, and guitar player. Dr. Harvey Moscot, welcome to Chief Guitar Officer. Great to have you.
Welcome. Thanks so much. I'm blushing. That was a very kind introduction, Jeff.
We want to talk a little bit. We obviously want to talk about guitars, but we do kind of want to take our audience back a little bit and just kind of give us the really kind of like 10,000 foot overview of Moscot.
Sure. Moscot's a multi-generational eyewear company. It started in 1899. My great-grandfather came from Eastern Europe. He was an optician, came through Ellis Island, set up shop on Orchard Street, selling his wares, which were glasses and combs, actually. And in those days, you were not examined. You just picked up a pair of glasses. If you could see them, you'd buy them, whether it was for reading or for distance. And then his son, which was my grandfather, Saul Moscot, became one of the first opticians in New York City, really dedicated to his craft, opened up a shop with his dad, Hyman, who I'm named after, who was the immigrant that came to America. My grandfather's son was my dad, Joel Moscot, so I'm 4th generation. My dad was a very skilled optician as well, loved what he did, and ran the House of Moscot as a single shop for 75 years. It existed on Orchard Street. I entered the business in 1986 with an optometry degree, to examine eyes and provide eye care for the Moscot customers and patients. I couldn't sing, so my dad said, maybe you should become an optometrist. I love playing guitar, of course, but I just couldn't sing, and I wrote songs, and I always had to ask people and my wife to sing my songs. So I listened to him. He said, you can play at night. I became an optometrist. My brother entered the business afterwards, joined me with a vision to tell our story around the world by opening up Moscot retail shops. And now I'm very fortunate to work with the 5th generation, which is my son, Zachary Moscot, who is an incredibly talented eyewear designer, trained in product design, also a guitar player, actually, but more acoustic. He's an acoustic singer-songwriter. So he doesn't participate in our electric in-house band functions, but
we'll have to have him as a guest too. So
yeah,
we don't discriminate against acoustic guitar players. We've had bass players too on the show. So yeah,
so that's kind of the vibe he does with guitar. So here we are, and that's the story of our business. Multi-generational. We're about to hit our 110th year in 2025, and we just have the same passion and commitment that our forefathers before us had.
Amazing.
I know there's a long history with New York City because I affiliate Moscot as a New York City brand, but I think you've expanded globally too. So where are you guys now? You're around the world now with shops.
Yeah. We still have our shop on Orchard Street. The Lower East Side was the melting pot. All the creatives lived there, from the architects, musicians, poets. It wasn't a posh area, so it was inexpensive. So all the creatives. So that's how we got so ingrained with the creative community in New York City. And they've been loyal to us. And now we have shops, 26 shops in total,
Wow.
12 in Europe, 11 here in America, and 3 in Asia.
Oh, that's super
Amazing.
cool.
Yeah.
Something that, I just wanted to touch on for our audience, if they've never experienced what it's like to walk into a Moscot shop anywhere around the world, whether it's New York City. I mean, you walk into a shop in London or Paris or Italy or wherever the shop may be, and you have kind of like taken a little slice of that Lower East Side feeling and kind of extended and expanded around the world. And I think the experience of shopping in the store and really the affiliation with the brand is you get that strong connection to family.
Yeah, well, keep in mind that the shop was my entire family back in the day. My dad, my grandfather, my uncle, my grandmother, my aunt, they all worked at Moscot at the same time. So it was like
Wow.
walking into, we call it Grandma Sylvia, who was my grandmother's living room. And we've always tried to maintain that warmth and inviting feeling, never make people feel uncomfortable. We never want to put our nose up in the air now that we're more well known. Still not that well known all over, but we kind of like our niche status, and we just want to always make it very warm, inviting, and fun. We never take ourselves too seriously, and the shop should reflect how it always has been in the past, anywhere in the world. And that's, becoming more difficult to achieve, which is why I like to meet each and every person that comes and works in the shops at Moscot to this
Amazing.
day.
Yeah, the brand in my eyes. I mean, I'm a New Yorker, so I've known Moscot forever, and really do love the brand. It does seem bigger than a New York brand. Like, I think it's really cultivated something really, really big. And I had a question related to that too. I'm a little obsessed with color schemes and stuff, and really want to know about your whole color scheme. And I have some little things I want to share with you too that I think Moscot in some ways has influenced certain things in
It's
design culture.
the colors. It's a really actually funny anecdote. Um, in the early 80s, my father, Joe Moscot, who's third generation, we needed to replace our signs on our corner of Orchard and Delancey, which, by the way, we paid rent for 78 years on that corner. And that was really the most popular shop where, like I said, was on the Lower East Side. And he called up a sign company, and he inquired about the cost to do this, um, resurfacing of the building, which was not our building. We had to get permission from the landlord, blah, blah, blah. And he was told that they can give him a really good deal if he chose yellow and black. And that was the least expensive colors that they would be able to sell him to achieve what he wanted to do with the signage. And he had this thought, well, that's pretty iconic because it's like taxi cab yellow. And he said, okay. And he got quotes for the other colors. And this was just the most reasonable and affordable color scheme. And it became our colors. It was
That's
completely
unbelievable.
organic and not intended.
Well, here's a funny thing is that, since this is related to guitars and music, which we're going to get into next, when I see the black, I grew up a Pittsburgh Steelers fan, even though I was from New York. I don't know. I love the Jets, but I love this. I'm a 70s kid, so that was it. So I've always loved those colors, and I've always associated Moscot with that sort of that black and gold. But in the rock and roll world, forever, Jack White's band, White Stripes, are always red and white. But then recently, he's kind of gone Moscot. These are some of his products. They look like they're co-branded with you guys. These are these
great.
pedals. He did a co-op with Memexar pedals, and then also this is also with Copper Sound. So anyway, the black and gold is everywhere, and I still think Moscot.
We made a Fender guitar, a Moscot guitar with Fender. We did yellow on the back, but Zach designed it so it had like the decoupage of our mannequin heads, which are in all of our shops.
Oh, nice.
So we didn't make it too in your face yellow and black, but it has yellow on it.
Gotcha.
So cool. So
Super
cool. So you talked a little bit about growing up as a rock and roll guitar player. How would you characterize your influence on the brand?
Sure. Well, examining eyes at Moscot, I had the good fortune to have patients like you, Judd, who were into music, and many other really talented musicians. So it's always in my mind, kind of, guitars and music. And I even bought and sold guitars in the exam room, which is maybe somewhat unprofessional. But after the exam portion was finished, we'd start discussing music. I bought a great Chris Squire bass. A Rickenbacker. I'm so upset I sold it. It was many years ago. It would have been probably very valuable now. But again,
Wow.
it's been part of who and what I am. And maybe a little bit before I met you, Judd, it was a rainy Saturday afternoon and there were no patients. And I always kept the guitar in my office and I started picking up my acoustic guitar and strumming it. There was no one in the shop. And and I was playing it, and some people came in from the rain and started listening. I was playing chords, and of course, I couldn't sing. I had a friend there who was able to sing, and he started singing. Who stopped by? It was just coincident, and I had like this moment, like maybe it's a great opportunity to bring music into the brand because it's something I loved and something I did at night as a hobby. And it was impactful that moment. And then we started having. I had this idea to maybe invite versioning bands from Brooklyn to have a place to play in our shop on the ground level, which was on Orchard and Delancey. It was like a diorama. And
Hmm.
there were a lot of music venues that were closing at the time in the early 2000s. So we started this program and invited these great bands. Some of them became famous, like they were called the ambassadors. Now they're the ex-ambassadors. And we developed relationship with these guys and Brett Dennen and many musicians played at Moscot Music. And it became a great thing that we did every 3 months to invite friends of the band who may not know Moscot to our shop. We served some wine and just had a good time. And it was really organic. And just because I loved the opportunity to listen to good music and to hear new ideas in music. And we had this venue on the corner of Orchard and Delancey, which was a lot of fun as well.
So cool.
It was also, you make me think about things in the past. In optometry school, there were musicians. A lot of optometrists are musicians. It's an amazing thing.
Interesting.
And we used to write songs to help us learn ocular anatomy or checking the externals. Or I wrote a song about contact lenses at the time. They're on these cassettes, and I have to get a cassette deck and listen to them because they're really funny.
That could be a big album, right?
It's so funny. It was just really funny.
Behind Harvey's Eyes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Moscot official release. So let's go back on that. That's a good segue into like the beginnings of you playing guitar and music.
I got to give credit to Mom. She saw that I probably needed an outlet, and I started taking guitar lessons as a kid when I was probably 11 or 12 years old um, in Forest Hills, and then we moved to a town in Long Island called Great Neck, and there was this famous jazz teacher on Middle Neck Road by the name of Joe Monk, and he was like the guru. He was like Joe Pass, but reinvented in Great Neck as Joe Monk. And it's just great memories sitting there at 12 years old of a guy with his glass of scotch and a cigarette hanging out of his mouth. The place was so smoky. I'd walk out of there, my eyes were red. It was just one of those moments in the early 70s that you never forget. And he was impactful. Started learning a little jazz and played with friends on Friday and Saturday night. Really loud rock and roll, Jimi Hendrix, which is why my hearing is kind of impaired now, unfortunately, and my generation will probably sustain that. But that's what it was. That was our thing to do on Friday and Saturday night, as loud as you can play it. Hot tuna, as loud as you can play it. And just a great outlet. And it started with, just taking some guitar lessons.
Did you ever have like a band or anything like that? Were you playing in bands in high school?
I played in bands in high school a little bit, Dead cover bands. And got into the whole jam band scene in high school. And then in college, a cover band at that time. Yeah, in between studies, it was always a great thing to do, and I always loved it. And collaborating with others and helping and just bouncing ideas is always a great thing.
I feel like that passion never leaves many of us. You know what I mean? Where it's like if you had the opportunity, it's like, hey, let's come hop on stage with us at Bowery Ballroom tonight.
Yeah.
You'd be ready to
Well,
roll.
I knew I wasn't that good, and I couldn't sing. So, and I kind of plateaued when I was 22 in college in terms of my skill with guitar. So then I just started writing songs. That became like a real passion of mine in my latter 20s to mid 30s. And I wanted to get a record made with an employee of mine, a manager of our shop, who's the most talented musician I've had the opportunity to play with, Arthur Rodriguez. He's our manager to this day. He's been with us almost 30 years. So Arthur had a studio. We made a record called Blue Harvey, which was my wife, Betty Lou, and myself, and all the songs I wrote, but I had to have her sing them. Most of them are about her anyway, so she was a good idea. She sung them.
Yeah.
And her brother, who is our architect today, Lloyd Frickman, is her brother, and he does all of our Moscot shops. So it's very ancestral. Everything I've done with music in a way.
That's super cool.
What is your playing like now? Are you how regularly, how frequently are you playing with other people, and even just like, are you still writing songs?
I haven't written a song in a while. I kind of want to write a Moscot song for our 110-year anniversary, 2025, and apply it somewhere. And I've been speaking to Arthur about it because it's a big, it's 11 decades of business. So I think a song would be a good idea. But business has become somewhat all consuming for me now that it's international and travel. And it's really definitely detracted from my ability to play music and write songs, unfortunately. And I often think about that and feel bad about it. And trying to find the right balance is always difficult.
I do see in your home office you have some friends hanging behind you.
Yes. So it's really funny. I ran into an old friend from high school about, 7, 8 years ago, who happens to be one of the more well-known guitar curators, Perry Margoloff. He sells guitars, the best guitars.
Yeah, absolutely.
He has a business with Jimmy Page now. And Perry and I went to high school together.
Oh,
and
wow.
I actually bought my guitars from him. I bought a guitar from him when I was 16 years old in 1976. And I had to ask my dad to loan me the money. Oh, wow. And Perry was kind of in a rush to leave town, and he needed cash for this black on black Strat. And I bought it. And he also had a Firebird then. It was like an early 60s Firebird that he wanted just a little bit of money for. And my dad goes, nah, I don't, And my father, to this day, who's going to be 90, thinks about if he had bought that guitar, it's worth about $50,000 now.
Wow.
But running into Perry was a lot of fun for me. Not only did we do something charitable, but he has all these vintage guitars, and I've always wanted them, and I just was afraid to purchase the wrong one. So this guitar, I wanted one that matched the year I was born, a pre-CBS Fender. Okay. And this we couldn't find a 60, but this was probably made at the end of 60. This is 61 Strat that has all never been touched, completely original. Amazing. It's super lightweight too, compared to like the custom shop Strat I have up on the wall there. It's super lightweight. You just think about
resonance, like it just kind of bounces back.
Yeah, and you think about the story that this guitar has and where it was played, and it has so much inside of it that every time I pick it up, it inspires me to, what does this guitar want to say? What has it said? Who's played it? Where has it traveled around the world? It just has so much mojo to it. Yeah, 1961. I was still in diapers, and this thing was being strummed somewhere in the world. So it's kind of intriguing to me from that perspective, and it's light, and the neck feels great. And
do you know anything about the history of it? Have you found out? No history, no paperwork?
Nope. I went to his workshop, and he said, "Here, I got this one for you." He waited to get me one that he thought, would be special. And, this is not, a relic Telecaster or Strat from Fender.
Right.
This has its marks because it's been played.
Right.
It's earned over time. Not,
it's earned, it's got a spine. It just wasn't beat up to look like this.
So that's like a slab Brazilian rosewood fingerboard there.
Yep, slab board you can see here.
Yep.
Rosewood fingerboard.
Original pickups, mint guard. That guard is minted by, like you said, it's not.
You can see how it's minted.
Yeah, totally.
You can see, and even the tuners are, authentic. I mean, sometimes in the high registers, it kind of drops off, but it has. So then you play a different guitar if you want to play up in the high registers. You've got to pick.
And the thing is not to do anything to it, so it you don't want to fix that. You don't want to refret it and make it non-original. And
I talk about it with Perry all the time, but of course he doesn't want me to go near it. Once you touch it from its original form to him, and he's influenced me in this thought, you change the character of the guitar in a certain way.
It's beautiful.
But
gorgeous.
I've used it in the Moscot house band Classiconics. We play at Christmas parties, and it sounds really, like that classic Strat sound. I love it. I've always been a Strat guy. That was my first guitar after Harmony Rocket.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I should never have sold that.
Here's a random question. I didn't even think to ask this. When you did bring that, when you bring that to the shop and you go and go play it out, do you carry it in its original case or you put it in a gig bag?
I use the gig bag just because it's lighter, but I'm protective because I'll put it in my car and just run from the car, the guitar from the car to the venue.
Yeah.
You're not taking that guitar on tour.
It's meant to be played and have a good time. I'm not that over the top about it because at the end of the day, you buy a guitar to play and have fun with.
Exactly.
So I'm not really that nutty about it, and I will put it in gig bag and just take it with me.
We feel that way too.
You can't be that, concerned.
I know Moscot is very philanthropic.
Yeah, we always felt strongly. My grandfather handed out free eyeglasses in World War II on Orchard Street. So it's always been something the families wanted to do, to give back to the community, to a city and an area of Manhattan that's been so good to Moscot. So we started Mobilize in 2006, where it was an opportunity for me to get out of the office late in the afternoon and provide eyewear and eye care to underprivileged folks in New York City. In those days, it preceded Obamacare. So it was hard to get access to eye care and glasses. You had Medicaid. If you broke them, you were allowed one pair every 2 years. So there were so many kids who needed their eyeglasses that were broken. And we would go and I would provide the eye exams and we would give them free glasses. And it was an extremely rewarding thing to do. And as well as like even helping the folks up at the John Doe Fund, those are guys that were imprisoned for things such as like weed back in the Rockefeller law days. Wow. They were in prison for weed. They sat in jail. And then when they came out, they made a commitment to do good for themselves. And we provided them with eyeglasses to get themselves back on track. And now you have legal marijuana stores. So it's kind of nutty, right? They were in jail for that. So and we helped them. And then recently, after meeting Perry, we thought about something we can do to help others. And he was involved with Music Will, David Wish's foundation, which establishes music programs, these novel music programs in inner city schools where these programs have been pretty much abolished or they haven't been funded to sustain them. And we kind of set up this gallery paying homage to rockers of the Lower East Side, legends of punk, guys that came through the Lower East Side. And Perry was kind enough to get some guitars donated to put on display, and stories of whether it was, Lou Reed's guitar or Blondie's guitar player, these kind of things. It was a great opportunity to showcase the talent of the Lower East Side that preceded us all through the years and raise money for the foundation, David Wish's foundation, Music Will. And we were able to set up Moscot. We ended up setting up 3 programs. It's like a $52,000 raise that we were able to establish 3 music programs in schools around the shop.
Wow.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's kind of one of our wishes for this program, to create some more awareness for these areas. Hoping to find people that are inspired giving back like that. That's incredible.
So that's an ongoing thing? Is that something that's continuing?
Well, that particular exhibit ended, and now we're looking into another opportunity where we're working with our global stockists. Perhaps there's charitable desires in their local markets in different countries now, maybe taking it global, where we'll offer the eyewear and the eye care maybe through their contacts, whether it's London or Paris or on the West Coast of the US where we have customers, or even in Canada. Maybe there's an opportunity there where they can do this with our support. So we're trying to take it globally as well now.
Fantastic.
People need help wherever you are.
Fantastic.
I really, really do admire the brand a lot. I think a lot of people feel that way too.
There's a lot of places you can visit and get your eyewear needs serviced, but the fact that people stay loyal to us means everything to us. So thank you both very, very much.
Dr. Moscot, thank you. We sincerely appreciate you. Thank you.
We do.
Thank you.
Great having you on.
Thanks so much, fellas.
That's our show. Thanks for watching. And remember to like and subscribe to our channel. Check us out on all the socials at Chief Guitar Officer.
And we want you on the show. Go to chiefguitarofficer.com, look for the section called You're a CGO, send us your video, and be featured on a future episode. Just like this.
I'm Matt Lattis. I'm a talent manager originally from Miami, Florida. This is my custom-built Matt Strat, and I'm a CGO.